Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. We are continuing our conversation, and joining us on the line at this time, we have Rishi Maharaj. You may remember Rishi from Disclosure Today. Well, now he has his own consultancy firm, and coming up very soon, they will be having a Freedom of Information masterclass on, I hope I got the pronunciation right, the Equigov Institute, and this is taking place very soon. Rishi, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Hema. Good morning to Afra also.
Hi, Rishi. Morning.
Now, obviously, you've been listening and we've been following the discussion. We spoke with the opposition, who, according to Afra Raymond, is as guilty as the current administration of breaching and disregarding the freedom of information. Your thoughts to the members of the public this morning. Why is this so important? Why is this a dangerous precedent?
Well, the Freedom of Information Act went passed, this year actually will be 20 years. Since the Freedom of Information Act was passed way back in 1999. And the act was a revolutionary act when it was passed way back then, in that it gave members of the public a statutory right to be able to request and access information from government. And under the act, you have 30 days to be able to receive a response from government as to whether or not they're going to get the information or not. Now, we have close to over 120 or 40 countries that have freedom of information legislation. And when you look at all those legislations as well as the model laws on which they were built, the normal time frame for which requests are to be processed by public authorities are normally 20 days, 30 days, sometimes 35 days. And you have provisions to extend if needed. So something like this is new in law to me. I have not seen it in any legislation whatsoever throughout the world with regards to a 90-day period to respond to a request, as well as a request being sent to another body for approval in terms of refusals of requests. So it's very novel for me. And while I applaud what the government is trying to do, and the AG in terms of cost-saving measures and trying to make public bodies more responsible and to give out information in the public domain, which I think is a good thing, I think the approach that is being taken needs to be relooked at.
Now, looking at the Attorney General's approach today, I expect the Attorney General to come to the parliamentary chamber armed with his figures, and I mean the cost figures. Is that enough for you? Well,
and just for the public record, I was actually the Senior Freedom of Information Officer in charge of the unit for, I worked with the act from 2005 all the way to 2012 in terms of the Freedom of Information Unit. And the last figures I have from the 2010 annual report, which I would have done before I left the unit, there's an average of close to 650 FOIA requests that are done every year to public authorities. Out of that 650 average requests, almost 68% are done within the 30 days time frame, in that a response is given to the applicant, and close to 75% of those requests are granted in full. So there is a large statistic that shows, and of course there has not been an annual report since 2008-2009 that has been laid in Parliament, so we don't have any up-to-date figures, but at least when I was there and what I have seen is that there's a large percentage of FOIA requests that are normally given to the public, because the majority of requests are normally for personal information. And actually, a little known fact that many people may not know, a lot of public officers actually use the Freedom of Information requests to send FOIA requests to the Public Service Commission to get information on them. So I think it's a misrepresentation of probably painting everybody with the same brush in terms of why they want to get why they want to get information from government from a political point of view. And many people on the whole use it for their own personal reasons to try to get information from government. So I think it's wrong to paint everybody with the same brush in terms of why they file FOIA requests, and because of that, this extension for 90 days is now being put on the table.
Now, and I have to bring Afra back into the conversation. Afra, if I listen to what Rishi had to say, that over 68% of the FOIA requests are granted, then I can't say give and take a little 32% is going to cost the state billions of dollars. Then clearly, what is the motive behind this?
Well, in all of these matters, there's a question about political embarrassment and delaying a certain amount of transparency. So we have the performance of wanting to be transparent, and we have the reality of wanting to delay transparency. So we want to put the lights on, but not yet. Okay, we want time to get our clothes back on. We want the time to arrange our garments and so on. And this is what's happening here. You know, we have a situation where to reach back into the mists, we have a situation where on the Invaders Bay, the partnership was in power, they were trying to do certain things. We made an application, this is when I was president of JCC, we made an application to see certain legal advice Dr. Tiwari was relying on. We went with a single lawyer, and the state had a massive team. There were 5 lawyers led by Mr. Martineau. They lost the case in the High Court. We went to the appeal court. We engaged a senior counsel, that was Mr. Peterson. And I can remember at one hearing, there was Mr. Martineau. He had 3 senior juniors with him. And he had 3 junior attorneys below them who were employed by the state. There were a team of 7 lawyers who were in the appeal court that day. And in fact, they still lost the case on a majority ruling of the appeal court. The current Attorney General, that was in October 2016, so the appeal court ordered the publication of the legal advice Tiwari was trying to withhold.
So the state's legal team was 7 lawyers and yours was 1. So we know...
It was 2 lawyers by the appeal court stage. But I'm coming to the point. In October 2016, the case was won in the appeal court, and the current Attorney General said because of the importance of the principle, he'd be going to the Privy Council. We never went to the Privy Council. That ruling of the appeal court of the 28th of October 2016 remains unimplemented. You're talking about doing the right thing with the Freedom of Information Act. You want to come to Parliament today and give a statement? Publish the legal opinions around Invaders Bay as the appeal court ordered on the 28th of October 2016. Do that. Show us you want to do the right thing. Publish that. And in fact, more to the point, tell us what were the legal fees paid by the state to its own attorneys it engaged in that process that went on for years.
And that is
collapse at the High Court stage and collapse at the appeal court
And
stage.
that is what I don't want the Attorney General to do, to simply say millions of dollars have been spent and not dissected. What is the state's bill? What is the bill attached to the private and to the litigants in this matter? Because that is where I will then have respect for you, Mr. Attorney General, because you cannot say that without dissecting the figures. And also, if listening to Mr. Maharaj this morning, that 68% of the FOIA requests are granted, then I can't imagine 32% costing the state billions. Rishi, in terms of, I know we're working against the clock this morning, but, you know, in 2019, we talk openness, transparency, and accountability. Press freedom, freedom of information. I look at the rights, and I get it, that no right is absolute in a country. But if we're talking proper governance and moving to first world status, how important is the FOIA legislation? And if this is passed today, how would we be viewed in terms of our governance structures?
Well, I mean, freedom of information legislation is important in most countries. Interestingly, if you do a search for something called the Right to Information Indexing, where they rank all the FOIA laws in the world, it's interesting. I just saw this yesterday. I haven't gone through it in a while. The #1 FOIA legislation in the world, ranked as the best in the world right now, is from Afghanistan. I mean, that's like, wow. Yeah. Afghanistan, you know the issues Afghanistan have. Out of the 124 countries that are ranked in that right now, Trinidad is ranked at 60th. I think we have a pointage of 89. So, no, yes, freedom of information request is important. Ours is not a perfect law. I mean, laws have come after that and have been expanded. But I think in terms of what the government and what the AG are attempting to do, I think could be done through better training of public officers, of decision makers, because I mean, I've worked and spoken to many public officers, legal officers, designated officers throughout my years. And the problem has always been not with them at that lower point of view, but when you go up to the decision maker and getting the decision maker to agree with their decisions, to give out the information, that is where the stumbling block always comes up.
Should this be passed today, Rishi?
Pardon?
Should this be passed today?
I would say no. My recommendation is that if the government really wants to be more transparent, they need to go back to the public and let's have a consultation on how best we can strengthen our freedom of information bill to make it more transparent and open for government to allow for less litigation.